What is going on, guys? Brandon over here at Geek Talk. We are back with another video, and this time it is a movie review for Kabir Singh. And before we get started, I just want to say my pronunciation for all the names and whatnot is going to be trash, so don't judge me too hard, okay? But I was recommended this film in my comment section of my Animal review, a film once again by Sandeep, the director of Animal, and Kabir Singh. And I was just recommended. So I was like, okay, I really dug Animal. You know, it was a fun, action filled, had everything like your typical India cinema, just got every genre bundled almost perfectly into one. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna watch it because I like this guy's style. And so I got into this movie, and about 40 minutes in, I was like, dude, I gotta take a time out. What am I watching? This is a love story, like totally different tones. Like caught me out of left field. I was like, dude, is this film gonna go crazy? So I checked out the synopsis for the summary, and it was like, med school student's girlfriend is forced to marry another man, spins into a spiral, goes like down, just goes down to the deep end and just gets crazy. And I was like, okay, all right, well, something's gonna happen, right? So I decided to keep watching it because I was enjoying it. The relationship to me was, I didn't really fully understand it completely. Like the girl was definitely hesitant. I don't know if she was shy. I don't know. It was just weird to me. And Kabir obviously was very he wants what he wants. But what I'll say about this director, and I might have completely jumped right there, but one of the favorite things I have with Sandeep, and I'm not gonna say the rest of his name, I'm gonna call him Sandeep, the director. He knows how to write a complex character, and it leads people to, at least for these two films, have a real big problem with how he makes movies and how he writes characters. I mean, I wanted to see what people were saying for critics wise and what score it got, and I noticed that on Rotten Tomatoes it got a 23%, and I was like, what? Like by the critics, and I was like, what the hell? That's a little bad. So I saw the audience score 75 or something like that. I'd probably scored a little higher than that, probably in the 80s. But I just wanted to see what were people's problems with this, because once again, in Animal, their problem was misogyny. They didn't like the alpha male, toxic masculinity. And of course, people had the same problems with this character, Kabir. But uh, to me, he was just a fascinating, well-written character with a tremendous story arc. I mean, this guy goes from, this film starts out, he's already in the deep end, he's already an addict, he's already just a complete mess, and he's this big horn dog getting blue balls and putting ice in his pants, and you're like, what the, threatening a woman with a knife, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then it flashbacks to when he's in school, med school, and he meets Pretty, and he like I said, he wants what he wants. He almost, I don't want to say forces Pretty to like him, but eventually she caves because he is protecting, he is brave, he's a little bit of definitely a hothead, not a little bit of a hothead, but he's that alpha male character. And where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going. I forgot where I was going with that. But people have a problem with these kind of characters, and I don't understand why. I mean, was at moments like, so Sandeep, okay, in Animal, Sandeep wrote a character that at times was hard to root for, because at times he was a piece of shit. He had that whole affair, and in my personal belief, he was fooled. I think that lady had him fooled, and he was unfaithful to his wife. He did strike his wife. And in this, Kabir, he is also hard to root for and a piece of shit at times. But I think that's just a well-written character. You want to root for him at times, and you don't. I just want to applaud, I guess, for the last 2 minutes of this video, I just want to applaud Sandeep for being able to write a really, really good character with a great story arc. And these people that are bitching and moaning about toxic masculinity and misogyny I'm so over it, dude. Like, I don't feel like this film glamorized it, like promoted it, like put it on a pedestal. It showed Kabir go through the struggles of being an arrogant rich boy from a very high class family, to falling in love with a woman, to being in this relationship with this woman, to having to deal with the repercussions of the family or the father not wanting them to be together because of so and so, or because of whatever. And then we see him fall into addiction and not be able to deal with that. And I feel like this film tackles so many different things that are really a struggle for a lot of young men. I mean, let's be honest, we've seen plenty of, whether it be high school sweethearts or college sweethearts, or just in general, a lot of people nowadays that don't know how to be alone, be don't know how to be alone, and don't know how to cope with heartbreak or disappointment, and they do turn to booze, drugs, women. They turn to these toxic things because they're incapable of handling such situations. And Kabir wasn't able to handle the loss of the love of his life. I do believe these two characters, Pretty and Kabir, were in love throughout this whole relationship. Maybe not at the beginning, and that might be where I'm lost and I just don't understand it. But I do believe they were in love. I do believe they were meant to be together. And of course, I love the ending. But this film just hits everything, man, and a lot of real life struggles. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of men out there that treat women bad. There's a lot of women out there that treat men bad, and we see kind of both. We see Pretty strike Kabir, we see Kabir strike Pretty, and at times it feels like a toxic relationship, and you question. And this is just why it just is such a good film, because you question. It makes you. You're not always rooting for these characters. You're not always rooting for this relationship. But somehow it ropes you back in, it brings you in, and then you see the ending, and oh God, man, it's just, I don't want to say masterclass, but this is one of the most, from my experience with India cinema so far, and I've probably up to 10 or 15 movies now, probably one of the most well-written and probably one of the most well-acted. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Sandeep and his upcoming movies, because I just love how he writes his characters and writes his stories, and the complication, the complicated aspects of it. It's not just A to B storytelling. It's complicated. This movie's complicated, and I love that. I love being so, oh man, I don't even know how to explain it. And I think the beautiful, like, another thing that when people talk about, oh, this is promoting misogyny and blah blah blah, this horse shit, it doesn't, dude. The whole time when Kabir's going through the downfall, or whatever, his friends are really pumping his brakes and trying to tell him to stop, or letting him know that, dude, you're a drunk, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict. Like, you need to stop. You need to move on. You need to be better. There are women out there for you. You need to move on from Pretty and get back on track. And God, dude, it's just, there's so many good things to say about this movie. And what I want to touch on, I don't know who the guy's name who plays Kabir, but his acting is fucking great, dude. He's good, dude. I don't want to call it the court scene, but when he's talking to the lawyers, and I mean, appear to be a judge. I don't know how court works in India, but it looks different from ours. It didn't look like a courthouse to me. But we see him struggle with, his brother and his lawyers trying to get him off and say, you just got to say this, do this, and you'll be fine. Basically put it all in the hospital is what I got from it. But, we see Kabir, this is the big changing point. This is his story arc finally coming back around. And, the one proud thing he is of his life is his gosh, what does he say? Is basically his career. And that's the one proud thing. And he doesn't want to tarnish that. He knows he may have fucked up his relationship, maybe his life, but his one thing he's proud of is his career path. I think I might be missing that. I don't know. It was late last night, but oh man, I might be rambling. But I loved this one, man. I wish, I also read that this was a remake, a pretty quick turnaround remake. And I'm glad this was my first experience with this story. I wouldn't want to see it any other way, just with how well acted, how well directed, how well written. It's just chef's kiss, man. Chef's kiss. Just a tough film, a beautiful film, a heartbreaking film, a fun film, a comedic film at times. I mean, it once again has everything. I swear I'm not tooting these Indian films horns, man. I'm not. They are just, dude, it's just, there's the passion and the care that are put into these movies. It's just so, like, it's so obvious. You see it so much with the outcome and the stuff. Dude, I'm done. If you haven't seen Kabir Singh, go watch it. Great cast, great director, great. I mean, cinematography, everything about it, truly, truly awesome. Definitely give it higher than a 76. I'm going to say maybe 80, 85-ish range. Love it. Gonna pay attention to Sandeep films. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. Comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. And if you're interested in future content, please subscribe. Deuces.